Hello everyone, welcome to my online classroom. Today we are going to continue the Eco chapter class 9, the story of village Palampur. Here already we have done till the page number 4 and we were discussed in our last previous video the modern farming methods, HYV seeds, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, irrigation and the farm machinery which all are coming under the modern farming methods under the Green Revolution. Now let's move to the next page, page number 5, and they all are important terms which we all have to be remembered. Now we are going to see how the farmers they use pesticides and chemicals for higher production. Higher yields were possible only from a combination of HYV seeds, irrigation, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, etc. So if a farmer wants more production, so that more production, the higher yields were only possible only from a combination of HYV seeds, irrigation, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, etc. After that, see the next heading which is being mentioned here, that what we have to use other kind of things. So now let's see about the what kind of lines are we given in this para. We are going to compare the Green Revolution where it is being used more and how it is being worked or not. So farmers of Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh were the first to try out the modern farming method in India. If someone will ask you that in which states of India we use modern farming methods and the Green Revolution which is really beneficial in some parts of the India, that is the first state which tried these methods, modern methods of farming, they are the Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh were the first to try out the modern farming method in India. After that, the farmers in these regions set up tube wells for irrigation and made use of HYV seeds, chemical fertilizers and pesticides in farming. Some of them bought farm machinery like tractors and threshers which made plowing and harvesting faster. They were rewarded with high yields of wheat. So here the farmers they use modern methods of farming, and under the modern method of farming they use tube wells for irrigation. They also use HYV seeds which give more production, high yield, chemical fertilizers and pesticides they used. Some of them bought farm machinery, also they bought tractors and threshers which made plowing and harvesting very fast. But even they were rewarded by using all these modern methods of farming. They get good or high yields of wheat also. In Palampur, the yield of wheat grown from the traditional varieties was 1300 kg per hectare. With the HYV seeds, the yield went up to 3200 kg per hectare. So in this way, we can understand what is the difference between traditional varieties seeds production and the production of the high yielding variety seeds. So in village Palampur, when the farmers per hectare area, when they use traditional variety of seeds, so variety seeds of wheat, so they got only 1300 kg per hectare. But when they started to use HYV seeds, the yield went up, the production went up, and it went up to 3200 kg per hectare. So you can see a major difference is there by using the traditional varieties of seeds and by after using the HYV seeds. Now there was a large increase in the production of wheat. Farmers now had greater amounts of surplus wheat to sell in the market because there was a large increase in the production of wheat in comparing the traditional variety of seeds with the HYV seeds. So now the farmers they got more production, extra wheat, surplus wheat is there. So now farmers, after saving for their own family consumption needs, whatever they want according to the consumption, after saving that thing, now they think about to sell their extra wheat, surplus wheat in the market. By this also they are going to earn more income, and that income they are going to use in different ways, by different ways, and in different field they can utilize, they can invest this income. After that we have one table 1.2 production of pulses and wheat, that is according to the year wise what kind of production was there and how it is being raised. Now so credit goes to the Green Revolution and the modern farming methods. Now modern farming method require the farmer to start with more cash than before. Why? So now question is coming, modern for starting in their agriculture, if they want to use modern farming methods, so the farmer require more cash. Why they require more cash in starting to start and to use this modern farming methods in their agriculture? Now we are going to, some questions are be coming here, so that you have to do by your own. Now we have the third heading, which is, will the land sustain? Will the land sustain means sustainability of the land. As we already know that land is a natural resource, and we very well know it took a thousand of years to make any natural resource. And if you are not going to conserve our natural resources, so day by day they are going to be exploited, and we are not able to save for our future generation anything. So sustainability of land is also very important. As we already know, land being a natural resource, it is necessary to be very careful in its use, because natural resources, sometimes we thought it is free of cost, and that's why we use them more, and we are not going to think about to care them and to conserve them. And if in the same way we are going to exploiting them, so of course in future time we are not able to save these natural resources for our future generation. So that's why it is mentioned at the time of its use, we have to give more care, we have to be very careful. Scientific reports indicate that the modern farming methods have overused the natural resource base. Day by day, when we are using the modern farming methods, so of course, by the overuse of this modern farming methods, it is very harmful for these natural resources. Now let's see what kind of things are be mentioned here under this, how it is be harmful for the fertility of the soil. In many areas, green revolution is associated with the loss of soil fertility due to increased use of chemical fertilizers. Also, continuous use of groundwater for tube well irrigation has reduced the water table below the ground. Environmental resources like soil, fertility, and groundwater are built up over many years. Once destroyed, it is very difficult to restore them. We must take care of the environment to ensure future development of agriculture. So, by using green revolution, of course, it is a positive sign of the green revolution, that it increased the production in the wheat and rice. But at the same time, the soil fertility is also be lost day by day by overuse of the chemical and fertilizers. Even when we are using tube well irrigation, so of course, sometimes we are doing over irrigation in the field which is not be required. The crops don't require. So that time also, the day by day, the groundwater is also going to be reduced, and sometimes this over irrigation also remove the top layer of the soil which contains humus, which is very good for the crops. So actually the fertility of the soil is also be reduced. So that's why it is be important to take care of this environment, whatever the natural resources are be available. Because if soil is not be there, if fertility of the soil is not be there, so of course we are not able to grow crops here, and we are not able to get any income as well as development and to improve our living standard. So all these things are very important to remember, that whenever we use the things, first of all, as per the requirement, we have to use, not more use of this thing. After this, now students, page number 5 is be completed. Now move to the page number 6 here. On the page number 6, as you can see, picture 1.5 is given. Under this picture, what you are going to be see, just take a look of this picture for 1 minute and try it to understand what actually the picture 1.5 to tell, because each and every picture have a kind of story, and heading is also given. It shows distribution of cultivated land. But just take a look of this picture. By that you can be easily understand what is our next heading and what we are going to read under this heading. Here you can see some areas, if you have given your attention here, here some plots, some pieces of land in which crops are grown, the agriculture, the farmers they are doing. Some pieces of land are very big. Some pieces are very small. Here also, see, some pieces are very small, some are big, some are medium in size. So according to the understanding the size, we can understand in Palampur village only some areas, some piece of lands are very large and many are very small. So of course those areas are small. So of course there we are not able to get more production from this small piece of land. So now let's start for the actual means. What is the points we are going to read under this picture. How is land distributed between the farmers of Palampur? It is our next heading. How is land distributed between the farmers of Palampur? You must have realized how important land is for farming. We very well know that land is very important for farming, because if land is not there, so where we are going to do our farming? Unfortunately, not all the people engaged in agriculture have sufficient land for cultivation. In Palampur, about 1/3 of the 450 families are landless, that is 150 families. So in village Palampur, many of the people they engage in agriculture, but problem is this, all the people, those who engage here, many of them they don't have their own piece of land for cultivation. In Palampur, if we are going to talk about the village Palampur, so about 1/3 of the families, about 1/3 of the 450 families are landless. That is 150 families. Out of 450, 150 families will be there, those who belong to Dalits, and they don't have their own land for cultivation. So now how they earning, how they are earn, and how they are going to feed themselves, that we are going to be read, and we are going to understand what it actually contains in this page number 6. So here, as we have very well known, now of the remaining families, because 150 families they don't have their own piece of land for cultivation and they belong to Dalit caste. After that we have of the remaining families who own land, 240 families cultivate small plots of land less than 2 hectares in size. Cultivation of such plots does not bring adequate income to the farmer family. So whatever remaining families will be left, they have their own land. 240 families cultivate, but the land they have, that is very small. And what kind of small plots they had, which is less than 2 hectares in size. So according to the size, because size is very small, so of course the production, the income, whatever they're getting, that is not be adequate, that is not be enough for one family to feed a single family. After that, in 1960, one story means here in this para we are going to read one story, that what kind of story is be related to Gobind. In 1960, Gobind was a farmer with 2.25 hectares of largely unirrigated land. With the help of his 3 sons, Gobind cultivated the land. Though they did not live very comfortably, the family managed to feed itself with a little bit of extra income from one buffalo that the family possessed. Some years after Govind's death, this land was divided among his 3 sons. Each one now has a plot of land that is only 0.75 hectare in size. Even with improved irrigation and modern farming methods, Govind's sons are not able to make a living from their land. They have to look for additional work during part of the year. So here story is given about the Gobind, who was a farmer in village Palampur and holding to only 2.25 hectares of piece of land, which is largely unirrigated land. And Gobind has 3 sons, and with his sons he tried to cultivate the land, but the production was not be good, and he was unable to manage to feed itself with a little bit of extra income from. But he tried also to buy one buffalo to possess family income. But some after years when Govind's dead, this land was divided among his three sons, and how the land, because one land is going to divide it among the three sons. So of course now whatever 2.25 hectare land was be there, now when it's going to be divided among the son of Govind, that time it's also becoming a very small in size, like 0.75 hectare. All three sons, each one of them, they are getting this small such size of land. So how they are going to cultivate in this very less small size land? Now next para we have, you can see the large number of small plots scattered around the village in the picture, as you already we have seen. These were cultivated by the small farmers. On the other hand, more than half the area of the village is covered by plots that are quite large in size. In Palampur, there are 60 families of medium and large farmers who cultivate more than 2 hectares of land. A few of the large farmers have land extending over 10 hectares or more. So here under this para we can understand the first of all there are three categories of the farmers. First is the small farmers, second the medium farmers, and the third we have the rich farmers or the big farmers. So for the small farmers, they don't have such a large piece of land. The land whatever, first of all they don't have, and if they have, so that is very small in size, and that's why they are not able to get more production, because cultivation is not be possible there. Now thank you everyone, and wait for my next video.